on the ABOO Facebook group. And today we have the amazing Ali Stewart, who is just such an expert on leadership. And Ali's books and her programs, she's got two specially specific programs. One's called Insights into Liberating Leadership, and the other one is Pioneering Professional. And she has 3 books out, in fact, on this subject, and she's been working in this area for very intensively for a long time. So Ali, welcome, and it's lovely to have you here.
Lovely to be here, Lucy. Lovely to talk to you about this. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much for coming into the group. So Ali, leadership is quite a big thing now, isn't it? I mean, you know, there are a number of leadership programs out there. So what's different about liberating leadership? It sounds very exciting, the liberating bit, because leadership can be a bit of a well, not very liberating, quite the opposite. So it's a great name for it. But what is liberating leadership, and why is it different?
Actually, Lucy, you picking up on liberating, when I decided to rename the program Liberating Leadership, some of the people that know me from old would have known we had it as a working title, Leading and Developing High Performance, which was a bit of a mouthful. And then, bam, as soon as I renamed it Liberating Leadership in 2012, it then started to get picked up all over the world, particularly places like Lagos, where they're looking for that kind of way out of the situation they're currently in. So that word particularly is creating a buzz. The Liberating Leadership program is completely different to other programs in that it is a complete end-to-end process. I don't know what it's been like for you as a leader, Lucy, but you've probably gone off on bits of training or read things or picked up models here and there. And then it's left to the leader really to decide how to put things together.
Yes, that's right. I'd say for me, it's been a very ad hoc process, and I could certainly have done with a more sort of perhaps strategic pathway through.
Yes. Which is the same for many. And of course, then you hear stuff, you think, oh, I should know more, I want to know more, but then you get so busy with your job, your skill, your service, your specialism, and then you forget, you don't have time to put it all together. So what liberating leadership is this beautiful process. You know, you just start at the beginning and go through to the end, and you have got a track from transactional, which is the day-to-day stuff, to transformational, which is where we really bring out the best in people.
Right, that's, yes. So what do you, I mean, how long does your process take then, and what steps do you take people through?
Well, Lucy, in the Red Book, so we'll talk about the Red Book more in a minute, the Liberating Leadership book, we call it the Red Book because it's so important. There are 10 chapters. You could just as easily take people through in 10 chunks. So let's just do chapter 1, make sure you get it, and go through like that in you know, kind of 2-hour sessions. Or we could do like a 5-day program over time so that you get to hear a lot, experience it, go away and work on it, come back for another day. So however people want to do it, and it works one-to-one coaching, or it works with groups of leaders.
Right, and are all the people all the leaders you take through this, are they all the same kind of leader? I mean, for instance, are they all in the corporate area, or are they entrepreneur leaders, or who do you mostly work with?
I don't think there's anything mostly about it, Lucy.
Right.
Liberating leadership works if you are responsible for line managing another person. So we've taken this, and in fact, I've got practitioners all over the world, in St. Lucia in an all-inclusive resort, down the road in St. Lucia in a rum distillery with the leaders there, Here we've taken it to underwriters in Threadneedle Street, with charities in education, in big commercial companies, in very little companies. It works anywhere.
That's amazing. And then that's so I mean, would you take us through the 10 steps in the book and in the program so we can get an idea of what it takes to be a liberated leader?
Surely. So chapter 1, if I can remember these in the right order, I'm sure I will, is the background, the research, because we have done over 30 years coming up now of research. When I say we, that's my guide and mentor, Dr. Derek Biddle, change management expert, chartered occupational psychologist. We were going into all these different companies like Gillette and Vodafone, the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, General Motors, Friends Provident, lots of big companies, public and private. So we had access to thousands of leaders. We also had a whole load of little companies up and down the country. So we could test out, what are the highest performing leaders doing that's different from just mediocre leaders? And actually, as the research unearthed, or we were able to see that it didn't matter whether you're a first-line supervisor at, say, a boatyard in Poole in Dorset, where Derek lives, he'd often go walking around there, or high up in Gillette or Vodafone. The highest performing leaders were similar in what they did and consistent. They all shared the same central mindset, the same 4-step process, and the same very distinct set of skills. So we were able to bottle it in the book. So chapter 2 is the mindset, really important. Chapter 3 is the 4-step process. Chapters 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 take you through some of the 15 skills, some of the skills which are rarely taught, like, for instance, the skill of explicitness. When I say explicitness to you, what does it say to you?
Explicitness. I suppose being absolutely open about everything and being very specific about everything. Is that right?
That's absolutely right. But what we find in the general busyness of work is leaders are not terribly explicit, or they assume a person might have a level of competence or knowledge that doesn't exist. And it even works with parenting. So I tell stories in the Purple Book. That's the quick overview of the whole approach, insights into liberating leadership. Like if I say, I'm a mother of 3, if I say to my children, tidy your room, I might go in half an hour later and be completely disappointed. And they might say, but I have tidied it, Mum. So I need to say to them, by tidy, what I mean is, make your bed, put your toys in your box, put your shoes in the box, whatever you want to happen, you've got to ask for it. And like we had a practitioner coming through the program, she said, my cleaner never does what she's supposed to. I said, well, what do you want her to do? She said, well, I want her to clean the windows and dust the skirting boards and not just push the hoover around, because frankly, I can do that. I said, yes, but have you asked her to do that? She said, no, any self-respecting cleaner should know. I said, maybe, but if you ask her to clean the windows and dust the skirting boards, she will. And if she doesn't, you can now call her to account.
That's so interesting. Yes, so we're really talking about leadership in every aspect of life, aren't we? I mean, actually, I remember when because I actually edited your Purple Book, and I remember going through it and seeing that you had used examples of your own personal domestic parenting life. And I thought, I know Ali works with really high-powered leaders. I wonder if this is going to speak to them, or whether they'll find that sort of ties in with their kind of big corporations or wherever else, and how has that worked out? I mean, I love that you do that, and I think it particularly probably appeals to women. I don't know, but how has it gone down with all your readers and different sorts of leaders?
They absolutely love it, Lucy, and excuse me, I think as many men get it as women do, which is really interesting. I was just had a group of male lawyers the other day, and we were talking all about this. It works everywhere. When I talk to business leaders, we of course relate it to business issues, but like, one leader said to me in a relocations company, they recite people coming out of the services. And he said, I want my team to be passionate. I said, okay, I'm your passionate employee. I come in at 7 o'clock every morning and I work really hard through my lunch hour, and I really try and get my work done. Am I passionate? He said, no, I expect people to do that. Okay, so what do you mean by passion? He said, I mean by putting flowers in the house for when they move in and sending the people a birthday card when it's their birthday. That's passion. That shows we care. I said, okay, so tell your people that's what you'd like them to do. Or use your initiative is another one. What is use your initiative? In your eyes as the leader, what am I doing if I'm using my initiative? Because if you're vague, you're setting your people up to fail.
Yeah. Yeah, so having those really specific and almost very personal examples really tells you exactly, that tells you exactly what you need to do as a leader. And it's so interesting to see that. And I would imagine you find that most leaders just don't do that. That they
don't.
We have expectations. I mean, we're all leaders in so many areas of our lives. Whether it's at home or at work, or in sort of things we do outside both of those places. And so this applies to everything.
Everything. Yes, we are all leaders in all that we do, and if we can be explicit in every area of our life, it just helps the other person. Oh, that's what you mean. I can do that.
Yeah.
And also then you can give feedback in a formal work setting. Then you're able to give feedback if the person isn't doing it.
Yes. Yes. So is it always about being telling people exactly what you want them to do, or is it sometimes about giving those sorts of examples that they can then apply to their own position?
It's interesting. It depends where the person is at in terms of their own development.
Ah, right.
So this is where we get onto the process of leadership, which leaders are not very good at doing because of their personality style. They get stuck along the way. They don't do the whole process. But it starts with visioning. You set your vision as a leader. Where are you taking your team? Where do you want them to go? And I talk to so many middle leaders and they say, I'm waiting for a vision. Okay, how long are you going to wait? Seriously. Either go and ask right now, but you've got to have a vision for your team, whatever level you're at. You've got to have a vision. How are we going to behave? How are we going to talk to each other? Why do we exist? What are we out to achieve? And how do we treat each other? How do we treat other departments? How do we treat our customers? So it's all very, very clear and grounded. So that's all about setting the scene, how we work around here, what's allowed. Once you've set the vision, are you ready, team? Shall we go? You mobilize your troops through explicitness, through giving feedback every day, maintaining momentum. This takes assertiveness as a leader, and you nip performance issues in the bud here. It's much easier here than later down the line. Once the person's internal motivation has kicked in and they're now building the skill and will to do the thing, now you can flex your style. Yes, you can choose how now to do these things I'm asking you. I'm going to help to keep you motivated and engaged. and I'm going to adapt my style now. You don't need so much of my consistent time. And the final enabled stage is letting them go. And for a parent and a leader, that's the hardest thing of all.
Yes, that's so interesting. So, you know, sort of leadership in a work scenario is really exactly like parenting. You start with doing everything for somebody and sort of scaffolding them through the growth period. And then you gradually step back and let them do their own thing.
Yes, and of course there are rules as they grow up of what we must and mustn't do. And as they get older, okay, you decide. So yes, it's exactly like that.
Interesting. Oh, I was just going to say something, and now it's just gone out of my head. It's related to the anyway. Never mind that. But so Ali, where did you learn to be a great leader? Because you can't mentor and coach leadership without being pretty good at it yourself. How did you learn your craft and your how did you get to your knowledge?
I think, Lucy, this is what I was born to do. So wherever I've been, just as a young secretary in the beginning, I quickly rose to train teams. I was quickly asked to take the lead. I was quickly office manager. You know, I was always kind of put in that position where I was training and developing people. And then in 1993, I desperately needed a job and happened to get a job as the PA to Dr. Derek Biddle.
Wow.
Who then saw in me a gift for psychometrics, sent me off to the British Psychological Society to be accredited in loads of tools. And really, he's taught me everything I know. And in order to get this book into print, it needed him to talk and me to type, and for us to then to go back into the organizations, refine what we were thinking, for me to really understand, because often when Derek speaks, people don't understand. So we have to get it in language that's accessible.
That's so interesting.
He's clever, really clever, but also to keep the essence of his great brain as well. So it needed the two of us to get this work into being.
How fascinating. That's incredible. So so you've really gone through leadership from the bottom up. That's a sort of weird way of putting it, but you know,
absolutely from the bottom up.
So very interesting. And I think this is what I was going to say to you before. Is it also, I mean, as it is with parenting, in my view at least, as well as leadership, about role modeling as well, about being the person that you want other people to grow into being as well?
You have to walk the talk. Yes, you have to be a liberated leader. We talk about this a lot, you know, when I'm having practitioner days with the people accredited to do liberating leadership. You have to be a liberated leader with your clients. You have to show them what it looks like. So yes, all the time you have to model.
Right. No, it's something to be aware of all the time, isn't it? In all roles.
All roles, yes, because children and staff members alike notice everything that you do, everything, and they will copy or not, as the case may be.
Yes,
so
and also
better behaviors
from you. So I mean, you could say, I want you all to go home on time and have a good work-life balance, but then you stay in the office till, you know, sort of late at night, and then they don't feel they can go because you're modeling what they assume you want them to be.
Yes, exactly. Everything like that, you have to start the process. And if, you know, there's this whole thing about no emails and things at weekends at the minute going round. If you don't want that to happen as a leader, you've got to stop doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we've titled your talk today is the central mindset of liberated leaders. So you said that came from a lot of all this very detailed research you did. So what is the mindset that all those good leaders shared?
So the mindset, this is chapter 2 of the Red Book, is so important, Lucy. It is the crux, the the sweet spot, the place we need all our leaders to be, and hardly any leader is doing it right at the moment. There's nothing new about this mindset. It's been around for eons of time, and we've known it in different guises, but we call it high challenge and high support. Have you come across that before?
Apart from in your books, I haven't come across those phrases outside, no.
You hear it in songs like "You've got to be cruel to be kind."
Oh, I
or
see.
Tough love.
Right.
Or it's stuff like that. It's the tough with the soft, if you like. High challenge, high support. So we have a model in the book, and if you imagine drawing a circle, high support, low support, and then high challenge, low challenge, or sorry, it's not very good when I'm just doing it in the air. But if you imagine an organization working with a lot of high support going on and very low challenge,
yeah,
what's going on in that organization?
Well, I guess people aren't reaching their potential. They're sort of sitting back and letting the support do the work for them.
Absolutely right, Lucy. It's people are never pushed to be the best they can be. Yeah. It's comfortable, and typically the leader's doing far too much for their people. So many leaders say to me, I can't delegate work because they're all too busy. It's a little bit of a mind read. You know, you really need to test people out and push them a little bit.
Right.
So that's a very comfortable place. And some people thrive in that place. They love it. It's much more friendly. The opposite situation would be where there's very high challenge and very low support. So what does that feel like now? Very high challenge, low support.
Well, that's quite scary, really, for people who, they're being asked to do things that they don't perhaps really know how to do or feel they know how to do. I mean, that's the sort of situation that you might call being set up to fail, perhaps.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. It's stressful for people. Some individuals might rise to that challenge. I've got a son who loves that kind of stuff, but he's quite rare. So typically high performance is random at best, and you typically get high staff turnover and burnout in the people.
Right.
Very, very broadly, very broadly, public sector and charities are more high support, low challenge. Private sector, who are looking at bottom line performance, more high challenge, low support. Very generally, of course, there are differences in those places.
Of course.
But just imagine now if you've got a company where there's low challenge and low support. What do you think is going on in there for the people?
Well, I should think they completely lose motivation. They don't feel, they're not given a chance to develop, and they feel they've got nobody's got their back.
Absolutely right. And what we notice actually in times of great change, like we've been having, companies can find themselves there, especially if the leaders aren't clear about where they're going. You know, there's just no direction. There's no sense of where do we go now and what am I being measured on? And so it's a very dangerous place to stay in for too long. So what we want is this perfect balance of high challenge and high support in powerful and equal combination. Because what do you imagine now goes on in that place?
Well, I imagine people are motivated, they're challenged to kind of step up to higher levels. There's what you might call career progression, and also that, but also they they're then able to support the leaders, and they're able to do more, so the leaders can delegate to them, but also they feel supported. They're not sort of constantly feeling threatened that if they fail there's going to be all hell's going to break loose for them, or they're going to be criticized or sacked or whatever.
Yes, you've absolutely hit the nail on the head. And what environment would you prefer to work in?
Yeah, I think high challenge, high support definitely seems like the one. Yes, yes. I'll have to review my various kind of working scenarios in that context and kind of analyze what they actually turned out to be. Interesting, because yeah, I mean, I tend to jump into things even if I don't know how to do them and just say, yeah, I can do that, and then learn. And but actually it does make a huge difference as to whether you feel confident enough to do that and whether you're supported to do that.
Exactly. So, and when we talk about this to leaders, of course they get it and they want it and they can see where their organization currently is. What is the culture like? And we have got a beautiful online questionnaire which measures people on that balance.
Wow.
Which then it gives you like a bit of an MOT as a leader. You know, what bits am I really getting and what am I not? How can I improve? So if we do some work with leaders and repeat the questionnaire a few months down the line, there will be an improvement. And if there's an improvement on the high challenge, high support scale, the evidence will be seen in the production and happiness of their people.
That's really it. So do you survey that as well? You survey the people that they're leading?
Always at the start of an intervention, I ask, what are we trying to change? What currently is the problem?
Right.
What measures do we need to look at? So what would you like the measure to be? If it's there now, where are we aiming for? So always I'm trying to get very clear parameters. So like with one organization, a charity, they said we've got very high sickness and absenteeism. We're spending shed loads on recruitment because people are leaving all the time. They're working in silos. We want new donors to donate to us. We want to be the go-to charity if there's an outbreak of the thing they supported.
Right.
So we had very specific things, and then we were able to cut their recruitment budget from 35,000 in the year before the training to 7,000 the year after.
Wow.
We cut sickness and absenteeism by half. Yes.
Gosh.
They got new major donors. They could deliver 20% more without any extra hours or extra staff, just because the staff are more motivated to do the thing. And they got a new royal patron.
Nice.
So just as a result of doing all the work with their people.
Yeah, gosh, that's extraordinary. Michaela is asking, how do you find your clients, Ali, or how do they find you? And she says, I ask because I always hear so much about the importance of niching to help in terms of marketing and finding clients, but you work with such a very broad spectrum of leaders.
That's a really interesting question, and I don't know how I find my clients. They kind of find me, because now I've got over 300 practitioners across the world. So of course they're always talking to people. I'm doing things like this to find clients or attract clients. I strike up conversations. I go to networking events. I strike up conversations and just go talk to people. And if we just have the high challenge, high support chat, of course, well, can I try it? Can I try it? So people come.
That's wonderful to hear. You kind of, put yourself out there and your expertise. But tell us about you just mentioned you train other people in your in liberating leaderships, and you've got, did you say, hundreds of people out there coaching liberating leadership? How does that work? Do they always work out? Do you have any failures in that area? I mean, that's sort of that's kind of an interesting
that's a really interesting question. I've never been asked that before. Do I have any failures? No, we don't have failure, Lucy. We just have feedback. So if you're not up to the mark, I will coach you to get you there. No, well, years ago, so in 2008, a lot of, leading up until then, a lot of my coachy sort of trainer friends said to me, look, can we be accredited to do, because this was now forming as a book, and a practitioner guide was forming, handouts, PowerPoint presentation that I was using with my clients. So I said, well, yeah, well, why don't I set up an accrediting body and train you? So now the accrediting body has been going for ages, since 2008, in both Liberating Leadership and the System Model Pioneering Professional. That's another talk, Lucy. That's for another day. But that's really to help anybody develop their self-leadership skills.
Yes, well, I mean, maybe we can have a quick kind of talk about that, but I also wanted to mention what you've done with It's the Purple book, that you, with your coaches, with your accredited coaches, is that you have done a really clever thing, and you create, and we help you to create a bespoke copy of that book, a bespoke not copy but edition of that book for your accredited coaches, or some of them, so that it's exactly the same inside. It's what you have written, but it sort of features them on the cover, or their branding, or whatever, so they can give that.
This is what you've been doing, Lucy. So you very kindly brand the covers for my practitioners, sometimes just with their logo, kind of same idea, or they can completely change. So this is the purple book, and this is the red book.
Right.
I don't care what it looks like. It's a little bit like gold. It can't shine if it's still underground. We need to share this material. We need loads of people sharing this methodology, just because it works. It's the stuff you were never taught at school, ever, because we measure knowledge and direct skills.
Yeah.
And so often leadership programs are too high a level because you don't know the stuff underneath that you should have learned, like explicitness.
Yeah, that's so. And from my point of view, I love the fact that the books go out and tell more people about it, and more people take ownership of the book and use that, and you use that as a way to kind of give people that accreditation as well, because when they've got an edition of your book that is sort of like their edition, it gives them a kind of ownership of it. So yeah, no, it's a great tool that you've developed to do that. So yeah,
thank you. It gives them authority. It gives them credibility when they go into organizations. And yeah, no, I love the fact that, and they love the fact that it's complete. They don't have to do any more work. They just have to deliver it, which they are brilliant at doing, because then their flair as trainers comes through it and brings it to life.
So how do you divide your time then? You've got all these people who you're training to deliver liberating leadership, but then you've also got your clients who you are turning into liberated leaders. So how much time do you spend on that? Oh, and Claire says some great tips, Ali. And which book would you recommend purchasing first, please?
I'd recommend purchasing the purple book first, just because it's quick and light. It's the overview of the whole approach with case studies and stories. You can read it in a couple of hours. Whereas this one is your weighty training manual, and I would suggest coming through the program to really get the number of that one. With Pioneering Professional, that's quite an easy read as well, because that's for everybody.
Yes.
So start with the purple book.
So can anyone come and be accredited by you? Do you have to have been a coach for a long time? Do you have to have achieved a certain sort of level, or have a certain kind of knowledge or pre-existing knowledge of leadership?
Interesting question, Lucy. What I need is for people to have a high degree of self-awareness. So they may not be a coach or trainer yet, they might want to be, but as long as they have been working on themselves, because always the first step for any leader or any practitioner is to look in the mirror first. Who am I? What legacy do I want to leave behind? What kind of leader do I want to be? So all I demand is that you are interested and you're wanting to have a conversation, because I would need to talk to you to find out if it's the right program for you and if you're the right person for it. So no, I don't ask for any particular qualification, just are you prepared to develop you?
Yeah, how interesting. And how long does it take to become accredited? Is there a sort of timeline?
Before lockdown, I was doing 3-day accreditations at the Dominion Theatre in London. Since lockdown, I do a 2-hour virtual, 5 sessions, 2 hours on Zoom. And it works just as well either way. And actually for my overseas clients, I was already delivering the program virtually before lockdown. So this has been easy.
Right. So, I mean, it's not a kind of like a 9-month program where you have to, spend lots of time doing that. It's really, it's quite quick. And then after that, people are ready to go out and deliver liberating leadership.
It all depends on your level of experience. So if you're already an experienced leadership trainer, after 3 days or 5 virtual sessions, you know what to do. But what we offer is, well, there's a confirmation of learning paper, which you have to pass. Some people haven't passed immediately, but we ask people to pass that. You get a certificate, you get a kite mark. Some people then need a lot of coaching and help to help them get going, and marketing support, which we put in place for them. You know, sometimes if they're doing it in a modular way, maybe doing it chapter by chapter, they just say, can I talk to you about chapter 1 first? What slides do I need? Right. Can I talk to you after that and talk about chapter 2? Yes. So we offer that support for all of our practitioners going through. And then they all help each other. We have masterclasses, we have events going on throughout the year. We don't just leave them alone.
That's amazing. So you're offering high challenge and high support in the program, but also it sounds like you're almost sort of setting up some people's businesses with them, for them, giving them that level of support to almost start from scratch.
Well, it's lovely because we've got such a mix of practitioners. There are some marketing experts in the group. There are some beautiful coaches. So we use each other to help, what do you need right now? And then just call on them to give them that support. And some people are just starting out and we get them going and they fly. I love it.
Fantastic. How lovely. Yes, Michaela says it's brilliant that you're offering marketing support too, because that can often be a really hard thing for coaches.
Really hard. Yes.
You offer the whole package. Wow, that's fascinating. So if some people in this group are interested in knowing more about that and becoming an accredited liberating leadership coach, where should they go, Ali? How should they contact you?
Well, they could just call me. I don't mind sharing my number. They can find Ali Stewart on LinkedIn. Go to my website, alistewartandco.com.
We'll put that in the post.
Thank you. If anybody would like to try the questionnaire to test the mindset, just let me know. I'll let you have a free go.
That sounds great. I mean, yes, I'm a complete sucker for questionnaires and personality tests and all that sort of thing. And you do. We've worked with you at Rethink Press. Some of our team. We've done your insights. What do you call it? Sort of survey, and it's fascinating what comes out of that. Really interesting to see the different strengths that different people in the team have and how you can work with each other better by knowing those strengths.
Absolutely. So just for clarity, Lucy, Insights Discovery is a beautiful psychometric tool which I'm accredited to use. It's not mine, which is why we haven't particularly spoken about it, whereas Pioneering Professional and Liberating Leadership are mine.
Right. Right.
But for the start of every journey, for every team, we start with insights. Understand self first.
I see. Right. So just quickly before we go, just tell us a little bit about, you said it was a conversation for another day, which always, of course, makes me want to know now. Tell us a little bit about Pioneering Professional and what that is.
Pioneering Professional, a while ago, we were asked to go into a major financial institution who had a huge graduate intake every year. And they said, why do only a few of these bright people bubble to the top? What makes them fly and what happens to the rest? So when we went in to have a look, we realized that the high flyers had huge amounts of emotional intelligence. It wasn't so much to do with IQ, it's EQ that's really important.
Right.
So their ability to question, their ability to manage their own learning and development rather than waiting for training to be given to them, their ability to manage their own career. They all had a business plan. They all, and they had this mindset of responsible initiative. So we captured the mindset and the 7 key skills they had in the Pioneering Professional. So anybody can now fly if they want to.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So they're the pioneering skills for life, really.
Right. So are those things you can do at any age there, or should you be at the start of your career when you do that?
It's particularly good at the start of your career, but actually at any age.
Right, right.
Yes.
No, it sounds fantastic. Michaela says, can we find a link to the insights discovery? Do we need to go through you for that, or what's the best way to?
Yes.
Come through you.
Yes.
Brilliant.
And if you'd like an insights discovery profile, I'll happily do that for people too, because it is magic.
Yes, no, it is absolutely magic. No, that's brilliant. And Michaela says absolute gold in this interview. So Ali, thank you so much for being with us today. So much to think about there, and I'm sure a lot of people will be in touch with you because it's all, you know, too kind of exciting and challenging, and you know, all things that we all want to be and develop in. So Ali, Stewart, thank you very much for being with us today and sharing your insights.
It's an absolute pleasure, Lucy. And your dog has been so good. I have to say, your dog has been just there with you.
She's quite used to Zoom calls, I think now.
She's saying it's enough now, Mum. Come on.
Yeah, probably. Yes. No, that's probably very true. So okay, so Ali, we're going to put in the header of this post your LinkedIn and your website, and people should just come and find you and contact you and ask what for whatever they want to know about.
That would be wonderful.
Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed for that. Really
absolute pleasure.
Really happy to have spoken to you today. So okay, now I'm actually kind of waffling because I've lost the bit that says stop live streaming. Oh yeah, there it is.
Well, bye everybody.
So no, I'll do that and say goodbye to everyone now, and thank you again so much, Ali. Lovely to have spoken to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.